everyone, welcome back to Code with Poonam. It's day 64 of our 100 days of coding challenge in JavaScript. Over the last 2 days, we have been solving problems using the sliding window technique with nested loops, right? In day 62, we started with finding the minimum value in each sliding subarray of size k. And then in day 63, we solved a problem to find the maximum value in each subarray of size k, right? Today we are diving into another classic sliding window problem, and this time we will focus on finding the first negative number in each subarray of size k. Okay, so let's proceed with this challenge and we will move towards our VS Code. If we see in the VS Code, we have here our question, right, along with the sample input and output. Okay, so let us read out the question. We have to write a JavaScript function to find the first negative number in each subarray of size k, right? And we have here our input and output, correct? So in the input, they have been given a array and the k value, right? This is nothing but our subarray size, right? And this is our output, okay? So first of all, we will break down this question, okay? So what we have to write? We have to write a JS function. So I will write here what? JS function, okay? Then what is the next important part over here? That we have to find the first negative number in each subarray of size k, right? So that also I will take here and I will put it over here, okay? Now, we will come at line number 7 and we will define our function name, okay? So what will be our function name? We will keep here what? Find first negative number, okay? So let us write here what? Find first negative, okay, number with a parenthesis. So let us keep this as our function name, find first negative number, okay? Now let us come at line number 8 and we will read out once again what we have to do. We have to first find the negative number in each subarray of size k, right? Now over the last two challenges which we have solved, now you have understood how to slide it, what will be the subarray and everything, right? So let us come here to our input and output and we will understand once again. Now, if you see here, we have to use here what? The k value, right? So what is our k value? K is equal to 3. So when we slide it up here, we are going to use our k value to get our subarray. So it is 3, right? So we will have every time our 3 elements inside that subarray. So this will be our first subarray. Now when it is going to slide, what will be our second subarray? This will be our second subarray. Why? We have here k is equal to 3. So we are only going to keep 3 elements inside that. Again, you are going to slide up to the next element and this will be your third subarray, right? Then again you will slide, this will be your fourth subarray. Again you will slide, this will be your fifth subarray. And here it is the end of it because after that we don't have elements. So in this particular input, you have 5 subarrays of a window size 3, right? So now if you come to the output, what we have? -2, -2, -3, -4 and -7. So if you observe your first subarray, that is 1, -2 and -3. What is the first negative number? That is nothing but -2. Then you slide it and you go to the second subarray, that is -2, -3 and -4. In that, what is the first negative number? -2, right? Then you slide and you go to your third subarray, that is -3, -4 and 5, right? So in that, what is the first negative number? That is -3. Then again you will slide and you will take your first negative number, that is -4. And here is your last subarray. And what is the first negative number? That is -7. So this is how you are getting the output. And also you should remember the output is in an array, right? So that is why we will have to get our output in an array form itself, okay? So we will come down and we will write our approach. So I will write here what? Approach, okay? Now this question is related to what? Sliding window technique, right? What does it do? It helps us to analyze a subset or a window of the array without recalculating the values for overlapping parts, okay? For this problem, each window will consist of k consecutive elements, okay? In this question, we are going to use a nested loop. Now, what is a nested loop? A loop inside a loop is called as a nested loop, right? So I will just write here what? Nested loop. And in this question, we are going to use what? Our I loop and our j loop, okay? So I loop will be what? Our outer loop and j loop will be our internal loop, okay? So inside our I loop, we will have our j loop. Okay. So we will come here and we will write our I loop. Okay. Now what this I loop is responsible for? This I loop will be responsible for iterating over the starting index of each sliding subarray. Okay. So this outer loop, that means our I loop is running how many times? It will run 5 times. Why 5 times? Because we have seen that we have 5 subarrays, right? So that is why it is going to run 5 times. Okay. Now what will be the condition we are going to pass here? So let us see here. So we will write here what for, and we will write here what let I is equal to 0, and then we will write here what I should be less than or is equal to arr dot length minus k, and we will write here I plus plus also. So now let us understand why I have written I is equal to 0, I less than or is equal to arr dot length minus k. Okay. I is equal to 0. It is very obvious because we are working with an array, right? And the starting index is what? 0. So we are going to write here what? I is equal to 0, correct? And then I less than or is equal to arr dot length minus k. That means what? Arr dot length is what? 7. Minus k is what? 3. So you will get here what? 7 minus 3 is what? 4. Correct? And we have to make sure our loop is running 5 times, right? So we will come here and we will get what? 4. That means loop is going to run 0 to 4. That means totally it is 5 times. 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. It is nothing but we are getting here 5. That means this loop is going to run 5 times. So that is all about our I loop. So I loop will iterate over the starting index of each sliding subarray. Okay. Now we have to see our internal loop also. That means our inner loop j. So I will write here what? J loop. Now what this loop is going to do? It is going to gather the elements of the current subarray. Okay. Why it needs to gather? Because we want to find the first negative numbers, right, in each subarray. So it will gather the elements of the current subarray, and then we can easily find out the first negative number in that each subarray. Okay. So now how the iteration will be performed? This iteration I have clearly explained in my previous 2 challenges also. So do watch out over there so that you will have a better understanding what we are doing here as well. Okay. So we will come here and what we will do? So we will write our j loop. So what we are going to write? For let j is equal to, it will be I. Now you will say why I? Because we have to slide along with the I, right? So if you see here, this will be our first subarray. This will be our second subarray. So whenever we are shifting or whenever we are sliding, we are moving along with our I itself. So that is why our j will start at what? I. So j will be is equal to our I. And after that, what we will have? We have to write here condition what? J should be less than I plus k. Now why j should be less than I plus k? And after that, here we will increment that also. Let us write, and then we will come here and we will see why I plus k. Now what is I plus k? Now let us understand with the help of the iteration. Okay. So let us see this with the help of the iteration. Okay. So when I is equal to 0, so j is equal to I, that means j also will be is equal to 0, correct? So that means j will be less than 0 plus 3, because 0 is our j value, I value, correct? Same value. So we are writing 0 and then plus 3. 3 is our k value, right? That is why 0 plus 3. So what will be our output? It will be 3. That means j less than 3. So the loop will run from what point? 0 to 2, right? That means it is going to run 3 times, correct? If you see 0, 1 and 2, correct? It is 3 times, correct? So the loop is going to run 3 times. So this loop will work for each element of our subarray. That is what we are doing it here. Now let us see for the next iteration. When I is equal to 1, that time j also will be equal to 1. Then what will be our condition here? J will be less than 1 plus 3, right? So what is our output here? 4, correct? So j will be less than 4. So it is going to run from where to where? 1 to 3, right? So we will get here what? 3 times only. You count 1, 2 and 3. So again you will get here 3 times, correct? Then in the next iteration, what will happen? I is equal to 2, correct? So therefore our j will be also 2, right? Then if you check the iteration now here, from where to where it is going to run. So j will be less than 2 plus 3, that is nothing but 5, correct? So it is going to run from 2 to 4. So let us count 2, 3, 4. It is again 3 times. So that is what it is here, right? Now let us come when I is equal to 3. Okay. So when I is equal to 3, j will be is equal to 3. What will be the condition? J will be less than 3 plus 3. Nothing but it is 6, right? So it is going to run from 3 to 5. Count 3, 4, 5, 3 times again. So that is what again we are getting it. Correct. Now let us come for the next iteration. I is equal to 4. So j will be 4, right? So then what will be the condition here? J will be less than 4 plus 3. Now if you see in each case plus 3 is same because k value is not changing anywhere, right? So that is why plus 3 will remain constant here. Now what is the 4 plus 3? We are going to get 7, right? So then what will be the loop running? From 4 to 6, right? If you count 4, 5, 6, it is again 3 times, right? So I will write here 3 times. So now when I becomes 5, what will happen? It will again check this condition when I is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Till that time, this condition was turning out to be true. But when I becomes 5, this condition will become false because we have written here the condition that it should run only 5 times, right? That means from 0 to 4, correct? So when I reaches 5, the condition is going to fail. That means it is going to terminate the loop. So here our condition will fail and we are going to terminate our loop. So I'll write here what? Terminate, okay? So the condition will fail and the loop will terminate at this point. So our I loop will terminate, our J loop is already terminated for the previous execution, and since it didn't enter, our J loop will not start for that point, okay? So that is why our entire loop is going to stop here. This we will see in our function also, okay? Now let us come here and we will see how we can find out now first negative number from here, okay? So we will come here and we will write here what? Check for first negative number, okay? Now in this, we have to examine the elements and we have to find our first negative number, okay? So for that, we are going to use our if condition, okay? Now in that, what will be the condition now? We will write here what? If our ARR of J is less than 0. Why I am writing this condition? Because if you see our sample input, okay? And if you see our first sub array, okay, -3 is the smallest, right? 1 is the greatest, but we don't want greatest and smallest. What we want, the first negative number, right? So if our ARR of J is less than 0, then you please push it to a new array. Why? Because our output is in form of an array, right? So whatever the output we will get after this condition check, we will push it to our result array. That is what we are going to do. So here we will declare one variable with an empty array, and to this we are going to pass our values using our push method, okay? Now here after this we will use a break also. Now why break we are going to do it? Because I don't want the further execution to be done. I want to stop the checking once our negative number is found in that particular sub array. So as soon as we find a negative number, store it into a result array and stop the further check for that particular window. That is why we are going to use here a break keyword, and this will help us to stop the execution and stop checking after the first negative number is found. So this is what we are going to use it, and this will be our final approach, okay? And also you can do one more thing. If in that particular window of our sub array, if it does not contain any negative number, so you can skip it. So right now we are just skipping it. If you want, you can add anything to that result array, or you can handle it based on your requirement, okay? So now we will do the same thing in our function itself. So let us write our function and implement this particular approach inside our function. So we will write here what? Function, and what will be our function name? Find first negative number, right? And we will quickly invoke it here, right? So let us come here and we will write here what? Find first negative number. And in this parenthesis, we are going to pass our two arguments. One will be our array and another will be our k value, right? So we will come here and we will put this array inside it and we will write our window size is what? 3. So let us come here and we will quickly receive it here. So ARR comma K I will write and we will come here and we will console it out. So I'll write here what? Console.log ARR comma K. Okay. Now let us come here and we will test this out. So we will write here what? Node and we will write here day 64 challenge and we will hit enter. What do we got? We got our array along with our K value, right? So let us come here and we will start writing our nested loop. So I will just write here what? Nested loop. Okay. Now below that we will write our I loop. So I will write here what? For let I is equal to 0 and I should be less than or is equal to ARR dot length minus K, right? So that I will write here and then we will write here I plus plus, correct? And inside this we are going to write our J loop, right? So for let J is equal to I, correct? And where it is going to end, it will end at what? I plus K, correct? And then we will have J plus plus. And then inside it, we are going to find our first negative number of our each sub array, correct? But before that, let us come here and console and see the iteration. So I will write here what? Console.log and inside this template literal, let us write here I colon and I will write here dollar of I, okay? And then we can write here what? J colon of dollar of J, okay? So this will give me our I and J value, okay? So let us come here and we will see what are the values we are getting. So I will write here what? Node day 64 challenge and we will hit enter, okay? So what we are getting, I is equal to 0, J is equal to 0 and you can see 0 to 2. So it is running 3 times. When I is 1, it is again running 3 times. When I is 2, it is again running 3 times. When I is 3, it is again running 3 times. And when I is 4, it is again running 3 times, 4 to 6. That means this execution you can see clearly in the terminal, right? Now when I is equal to 5, the condition fails and it is going to terminate and our I loop is going to stop. So you can see here after this, there is no lines getting printed here, right? So this is what is our loop, right? Now, since we have n number of lines in the terminal, so what we will do, let us just comment this out and now we will start writing our code to find out the first negative number of each window, okay? So for that, we will come here at the top and we will declare an empty array so that we can store the resultant here. So I will write here what? Let result is equal to empty array and then we will start writing our if condition. So we will write here what? If our ARR of J is less than 0, then you please push that particular ARR of J into our result array. So we will write here what? Result dot push and inside that we are going to write our ARR of J. So our ARR of J is what? It will give me the corresponding element with respect to this index number, right? So that is what we are going to do. And then we will come here and we will use our break, okay? So that you please stop checking once a negative number is found, okay? Now we can come here and we can see what are the values we are going to push, okay? So console.log ARR of J we can do, okay? And we can just come here in the terminal and I will clear it out and then we will again run it. So I will write here what? Node day 64 challenge and we will hit enter. So what do we get? See, minus 2, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4 and minus 7. If you see, this is your exact output. So if you see this line number 35 is giving me the output that is minus 2, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4 and minus 7. If we check our output, it is nothing but the same. But the difference here is what? Here are the numbers and here it is an array form, right? So that is why we have come here and we have declared an empty array and we are storing that empty array into a result variable, right? Then at line number 36, we are pushing into our result, right? So if you come here and if you print this particular result outside your loop, you are going to get the exact output. So let us come here and we will print here what? Console.log and I will write here what? Result. Let us see in the terminal what we are getting. So I will write here what node day 64 challenge and we will hit enter. What we are getting, see, we are successfully able to get our final output in an array form: -2, -2, -3, -4, and -7. So this is what we are getting it, right? And now what we can do, we can just improvise this. So I will write here what comma inside our template literal. So I will come here and I will take this particular line, that is first negative number in each subarray of size k is what. So let us come here and we will put it over here. And we can just put this k inside our dollar flower braces, right? So dollar flower braces of k we can write here, and we can have here colon also. And let us come here and clear the terminal and rerun it. So I will write here what node day 64 challenge and we will hit enter. If you see, you are getting here, right? First negative number in each sub array of size 3 is what? This, right? So we are able to get it. Now let us come here and let us get rid of all this console.log statement. So I will come here and I'll comment this line number 29. I will comment this line number 35 also, and let us run it one more time. So I will write here what CLS, clear the terminal, and node day 64 challenge, and we will hit enter. We get our exact output and we have improvised our console.log statement also, right? So let us make this F capital, okay? Now let us come down and invoke with another input values, okay? So we will write here what find first negative numbers, and I will just pass here an array of 4, okay? So I will write here what -12, then 13, then I will write here 14, and then I will write here what -16, and we will write here a window size of 3 itself, okay? Now let us come here and we will clear the terminal and we will rerun it, node day 64 challenge, and we will hit enter. Let us see what do we get. We got here -12 and -16. So if you see, this was our first sub-array window, -12. This was our second sub-array window, that is -16. So it is giving me our first negative numbers, right? So that is what we have done, and we have successfully executed this function, right? Now let us have a quick recap of this particular question, right? So we will come above and we will read the question. What it was being asked, we have to write a JavaScript function to find the first negative number in each sub-array of size k, right? Then they provided us with an input output, right? So then at line number 7, what we did, we understood that we have to write a JS function. So we defined our function name as what? Find first negative numbers, right? Then at line number, we wrote the important part of that question, that we have to find the first negative number of each sub-array of size k, right? So then at line number 10, we wrote our approach, right? What was our approach? We used our nested loop, that is our I loop and our J loop, right? Then we also understood why our I loop should run 5 times, right? Because it was having how many sub-arrays? It was having 5 sub-arrays. So we have here our 5 times loop running, right? So we wrote here our condition, that is I should be less than or is equal to arr.length minus k, right? And we were incrementing it up till our condition is getting satisfied, right? Then we understood our J loop also. What is this J loop going to do? It is going to gather your elements and then you are going to find out your first negative number from here. So that is what we did. We understood our iteration also, where it will start and where it is going to terminate, right? And it is going to work on each and every element of the sub-array, right? Then we came down and we also understood why we need a result as an empty array, right? Because our output was in an array form. So we used our push method, and whenever this condition was passing, we were pushing into that. And then we used our break statement also. Why break statement? Because we wanted to stop the checking once a negative number is found, right? So that is why we have done this. Now we came down and we wrote the same approach inside our function also. So we came here at line number 27 and we wrote what? Function find first negative number, and we were receiving here 2 parameters, right? That is array and our k value, correct? Then at line number 28, we declared a variable called as a result, and we initialized with an empty array because we wanted to store our final result over there, correct? Then at line number 29, just for the testing purpose, whether our function is running or not, we consoled it, right? Then we wrote our nested loop, right? Our I loop, our J loop, and our condition also. Then we pushed our ARR of J inside our result also. And we were able to find our first negative numbers, right? From here. And then at line number 41, by improvising the console.log statement, we printed our result in the terminal, correct? And at line number 43 and 44, we invoked this function 2 times with different input values, right? And we got our expected output in the terminal. So let us clear the terminal and rerun it one more time. So I will write here what node day 64 challenge and we will hit enter. So we got our exact output, right? Now I'll tell you guys why this challenge is important, because the sliding window technique is highly effective for analyzing the subarray with overlapping elements. And we have used here nested loop that allows us to find the first negative number in each subarray of size k, okay? And also guys, always handle the edge cases, like when there are no negative numbers in the subarray, what we can do it, okay? And that's all for today's challenge, guys. Stay tuned for day 65, where we will solve another exciting coding challenge using this sliding window technique itself. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more coding content. Keep learning, keep coding, and keep growing, guys. Thank you so much. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.